My name is Emma Carter, and this is the story of the worst day of my life. I live in Chicago with my two sisters, Olivia and Sophie. We share the same mother, but we have different fathers. Growing up, that fact never bothered me. To us, family was family. Our mother, Rebecca, always told us that love mattered more than blood. For many years, I believed her. Then everything changed. It was a rainy Tuesday evening when I came home from work. The city lights reflected across the wet streets outside our apartment building. I was exhausted after a long day, but the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. Olivia sat silently on the couch. Sophie was crying. "What happened?" I asked. Neither answered. Olivia finally looked at me. "Mom is seeing another man." I froze. "What do you mean?" Sophie wiped her tears. "Not another boyfriend. Another one." My stomach sank. Rebecca had been dating a man named Michael for almost a year. He was kind, respectful, stable. For the first time in our lives, it seemed our mother had found someone serious. But apparently that wasn't enough. Sophie handed me her phone. There was a photo. Mom was holding hands with another man outside a restaurant downtown. A man none of us recognized. I felt sick. "Maybe it's a misunderstanding," I whispered. But deep inside, I already knew. It wasn't. Our childhood had been filled with men coming and going. One boyfriend after another. Different faces. Different promises. Different heartbreaks. Every time Mom fell in love, she said this one was different. Every time she was wrong. When I was 10, she introduced a man named David. 6 months later, he disappeared. When Olivia was 12, there was Ryan. Then Lucas. Then Brian. Then Andrew. The list seemed endless. Each relationship left another crack in our family. We learned not to get attached. We learned not to trust. But Michael had been different. He treated Mom with kindness. He helped pay bills. He remembered birthdays. For once, our home felt peaceful. Now she was about to destroy that too. 3 days later we confronted her. She walked into the apartment carrying shopping bags. The moment she saw our faces, she knew. "What's wrong?" she asked. I placed the photo on the table. Silence. Her face turned pale. "Emma, who is he?" She looked away. Nobody spoke. Finally, she sighed. "His name is Jason." Olivia slammed her hand against the table. "So it's true. Listen to me." "No," Olivia shouted. "You promised us." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. "It's complicated." "Why is it always complicated?" Sophie cried. "Why?" Mom looked broken. But we were tired of excuses. So tired. For hours we argued. She claimed she still loved Michael. She claimed Jason was only someone she connected with emotionally. She claimed she was confused. The explanations only made everything worse. "You have no idea what you've done to us," I said. Rebecca stared at me. "What do you mean?" I laughed bitterly. "Seriously?" Tears rolled down my face. "We spent our entire lives watching you chase one relationship after another. Emma, we never had stability. We never had a real family. We were always waiting for the next breakup." The room fell silent. Every word hurt. But every word was true. That night nobody slept. I heard Sophie crying in her room. Olivia paced the apartment. Mom locked herself inside her bedroom. The tension felt unbearable. The next morning Michael arrived unexpectedly. He had discovered everything. I will never forget the expression on his face. Pure heartbreak. Rebecca tried to explain. Michael listened quietly. Then he nodded. "I loved you," he said softly. "I really loved you." Rebecca began crying. "So did I." Michael shook his head. "No." His voice cracked. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Then he walked away. Forever. The sound of the door closing echoed through the apartment. Mom collapsed onto the floor. And somehow, instead of feeling satisfaction, I felt empty. The following weeks were terrible. Rebecca became depressed. She stopped eating, stopped smiling, stopped being herself. Jason disappeared almost immediately. Apparently, he had never intended to build a future with her. The moment things became difficult, he vanished. Just like so many men before him. Mom lost both relationships. Michael was gone. Jason was gone. And she was alone. One evening I found her sitting in darkness. No television. No music. Just silence. You should eat something, I said. She looked up. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Do you hate me? The question caught me off guard. I wanted to say no, but I couldn't. I don't know. Rebecca lowered her head. I never wanted to hurt you girls. Then why did you? She had no answer. Months passed. Bills piled up. Arguments increased. The apartment felt smaller every day. Then came the night everything exploded. Olivia discovered Mom was talking to another man online. Not dating. Just talking. But after everything that had happened, it was enough. Olivia lost control. Sophie joined her. Soon everyone was shouting. The pain we had buried for years finally surfaced. All the disappointment. All the anger. All the resentment. Everything came pouring out. You care more about men than your daughters. Olivia screamed. That's not true. Rebecca cried. It is true. No. It is. The fight lasted hours. Neighbors knocked on the walls. Nobody cared. Years of hurt were finally speaking. Then Olivia said the words that changed everything. You should leave. The room went silent. Rebecca stared at her. What? You heard me. Sophie began crying. But she nodded. For the first time, all three of us agreed. I felt horrible. Yet part of me believed it was necessary. Rebecca looked at me. Emma? I couldn't meet her eyes. The silence became my answer. Her face shattered, as if her heart had broken right there. That night she packed a suitcase. Just one. The apartment that had once been full of her laughter now felt like a funeral. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. We simply watched. When she reached the front door, she turned around. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I know I made mistakes. Nobody answered. I know I failed you. Still silence. But I love you. Sophie started sobbing. Olivia looked away. I stood frozen. Rebecca waited for a response that never came. Then she opened the door. And left. The moment she disappeared down the hallway, reality hit us. We had actually done it. We had sent our mother away. For a long time nobody moved. Then Sophie collapsed into tears. I joined her. Soon all three of us were crying. Not because we regretted our anger, but because anger had finally destroyed what remained of our family. The following months were difficult. Without Mom, the apartment felt cold. Too quiet. Too empty. Birthdays felt wrong. Holidays felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. I kept expecting her to walk through the door. She never did. Occasionally, she sent messages. Simple messages. I love you. Hope you're okay. Thinking about you. Most went unanswered. We were still hurt. Still angry. Still confused. One winter evening, nearly a year later, I received a phone call. It was Rebecca. For a moment I considered ignoring it. Instead, I answered. Hello? Her voice sounded weak. Emma. I immediately knew something was wrong. What happened? There was a long pause. I'm in the hospital. Fear gripped my chest. Within an hour, Olivia, Sophie, and I were rushing through city traffic. The snow fell heavily outside. My hands shook the entire journey. When we arrived, we found Mom sitting in a hospital bed. She looked older, smaller, fragile. Life had not been kind to her. The moment Sophie saw her, she burst into tears. Mom started crying too. Soon all of us were. Months of pain dissolved into one heartbreaking reunion. Rebecca reached for my hand. I missed you. My throat tightened. I missed you too. For the first time in years, honesty replaced anger. And it felt strangely freeing. Later that night, after the doctors discharged her, we sat together in a small hospital waiting room. Nobody mentioned boyfriends. Nobody mentioned betrayal. Nobody mentioned the past. Instead, we talked about ordinary things. Favorite movies. Childhood memories. Funny family stories. For a few precious hours, we felt like a family again. As midnight approached, Rebecca looked at us. I don't expect forgiveness. Olivia squeezed her hand. We're still trying. Mom nodded. That's enough. Sophie leaned against her shoulder. I was so angry. I know. I still love you. Rebecca broke down crying. So do I. The scars never completely disappeared. Some wounds never do. But that night taught us something important. People can make terrible mistakes. They can break hearts. They can destroy trust. Yet love sometimes survives even when everything else falls apart. Today, whenever I look at the city skyline outside my apartment window, I remember the night we sent our mother away. I remember the tears, the anger, the heartbreak, and the regret. If I could go back in time, I don't know whether I would make the same decision. Maybe we needed distance. Maybe we needed consequences. Maybe we simply needed time. What I do know is this. The saddest moment of my life wasn't discovering my mother's mistakes. It wasn't watching her relationships fail. It wasn't hearing endless arguments. The saddest moment was watching her walk through that apartment door with a single suitcase, believing her daughters no longer loved her. Because despite everything that happened, despite every disappointment and every tear, she was still our mother. And a part of us loved her all along. Sometimes love survives anger. Sometimes it survives betrayal. And sometimes it survives the day a family breaks apart. The tears may fade. The pain may soften. But the memory remains forever.